Hi, I'm Tom Hendrickson from the DevOps Online Summit, and welcome to our Community Promoter Spotlight. Today, we have with us Steve Pereira from DevOps Toronto. Steve, introduce yourself to the people here at the DevOps Online Summit.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate this opportunity to showcase the community. I'm really proud of how long it's been running, how it's been growing, and that it's this consistent spot for people to find like-minded individuals, solve their problems, talk about ideas, and get exposed to new things. So I've been involved with it since 2011. And that's really, I think, when it started out. I wasn't the person kind of running the community at that point.
Yeah.
Just a fan.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually found out about the meetup when it was hosted at a company I was working at.
Yeah.
And I was working late, as I ought to do. And all of a sudden, all these people started showing up, and I found out that there was this meetup happening. And so I stuck around and sort of watched what was happening. And it turned out that, they started talking about all these things that I was doing in my job. I was doing infrastructure automation.
Yeah.
At a SaaS company.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just was this magical confluence of like, wait a second, I had no idea that this existed. And all of a sudden, it's everything that I need, because I've got these problems that I can now talk to people about. I'm absorbing this new information that I've never heard about before. Mm-hmm. And I'm exposed to all these new concepts and ways of looking at things. So it was really my first exposure to DevOps, and I quickly fell in love with it. And so, and like with things that I fall in love with, I dove headfirst in. And so the host of the meetup at the time, his company got bought by Google. He got shipped down to San Francisco.
Wow!
And so when it came time to sort of pass the torch, I was the closest person at hand, and I was happy to take that Steve. On, because yeah, exactly. I lack the ability to say no to new side projects and new opportunities. So I was very happy to say, of course I can do that.
Yeah,
of course I can add this to the things mm-hmm. that I'm doing. And now, in 2021, it's many years later. Hundreds of events, and DevOps Days got layered on top of that. So we do mm-hmm. DevOps Days annually. Pre-COVID, we still haven't figured that out. We still haven't really navigated our way out of that.
Yep.
But we've got a Slack community as well that's always buzzing with a strong cohort of regulars who are just in there all day, every day, which is wonderful. Yeah. And then we've got people who pop in when they've got new ideas to share or mm-hmm. problems that they need help with. So it's a whole ecosystem, and it's now 6,500 people, over 6,500 people. And
wow,
that's pretty remarkable. And these days, that was actually pretty close to pre-COVID numbers. Mm-hmm. So even in the age where now our events are online, we broadcast everything over Zoom.
Yeah,
we haven't really been promoting the fact that we run these events and anyone all over the world can join.
Yeah.
Because I know that a lot of communities have sort of like exploded now that, you can. I was just at the DevOps Lisbon meetup just before this call.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden you can hit all these events from all over the globe, and we get a couple people from across the world. But I think that there's a lot of opportunity to reach these new geographic regions. So instead of a monthly meetup, you could have you could be hitting a meetup every other day or every other week, which my schedule couldn't bear, but it's nice to have the option.
Yes. So it's kind of funny to kind of bring it back there, Steve. It sounds like this community found you. You didn't find it. It just kind of appeared.
100%, and I was I always felt like I was wandering in the wilderness in this area where there was all this promise and new thinking and new tools and new ways of working, and it was super exciting. But I always felt like I had no idea what I was doing. So kind of stumbling into that community was perfect timing for me, and it just kind of fed my appetite for knowledge and connection to other people who were doing similar things and people who were way ahead of me. Like I was able to learn from people who had been doing systems integration and automation and management for years and years and years. And so it really helped build my knowledge and experience and awareness and confidence as well, being able to say like, well, I don't really know about that, but I know people who know these things, so I'll figure it out. And being able to kind of lean on the community is that keeps me involved, because I feel like I could be repaying that debt forever. So I'm happy to be leading the community, making sure that the events happen and that it stays running and doesn't get taken over by special interests or vendors. We have wonderful vendors who sponsor and support the meetup, but we've always kept it very community focused.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You brought up an interesting point, and I think it's important to point out that how willing the community, a lot of these people in this DevOps community are to give, to share, to help each other out. And it's, that's what I think makes a lot of these great community events possible.
Yeah, we get so excited about things in the DevOps space, because I think that it's at this intersection of so many different topics and philosophies and techniques and models and frameworks. So, I get really excited when I hear DevOps people talking about systems thinking or product design or value streams or complexity theory or socio-technical architecture. There's so much that DevOps kind of intersects with that I think that we could have massive communities where there's always something new to talk about, and there's always different perspectives to be building our collective understanding of what we're talking about.
So are you kind of your cadences every month you meet, or what do you guys have for every month?
Yeah, we've been very good, I would say, the last year about being absolutely every single month without fail. It hasn't always been that way. It's been sort of like I remember when I was CTO of a startup, and every month the meetup would roll around and be like, I need someone to speak. We need a venue. We need, I need to order pizza. Exactly. And it's like happening in 3 days. Right. So it hasn't always been this easy, but now, I've got an assistant who is helping me schedule 3 to 6 months in advance. Good. And, we've been really good about building the systems over time that make it easy for people to submit talks and then get, through the system so that they get scheduled on the calendar and everyone finds out about it, and we get nice graphics for everybody. Yeah. So I feel at this point it kind of runs itself, but it was a lot of work to get there, and it certainly takes a lot of appreciation for what shepherding a community and supporting a community really means, right? It's more than just showing up. It's about putting the systems in place that make it easy to show up and make that community sort of run in between the events. The events are sort of like punctuations, but the day to day, it's happening all the time, and it's happening in the background. So I think acknowledging that and building the systems that kind of support that has been the biggest learning for me, and the biggest, I would say, evolution as far as the community goes.
Yeah. So I'm guessing for other community people who are organizing things, your biggest takeaway would be get that system in place, get that up and running, and as opposed to hey, it's 3 days away, let's throw an event.
Right. I think, that can be very stressful. And it also, I think, it permeates through the community, right? I mean, if the leadership, if the people who are committed to keeping the thing on the rails and keeping things going
Yeah.
are fumbling and really not dedicating time and effort to making sure that things happen, people don't really feel like it's a welcoming environment and that it's
Yeah.
accessible and that it's something that people take seriously and that they should invest in, right? So part of it is a commitment to the members of the community that I will put in the work to maintain the foundation, to make sure that it's here for you and that you can come in and if you invest effort, you will see a return from that, right? It's going to come back to you because it's set up to do that. But a lot of it also has evolved with my understanding of value streams. I mean, I'm a big fan of value streams. So looking at the value streams of the community and what are the value streams that are going to deliver the outcomes for the members and for building this machine that takes in ideas and then on the other hand, it's delivering insights and knowledge and value back to the community members.
Yeah, that's really great, Steve. So, Steve, you've really shared a lot about the community you have in Toronto. Do you have any closing thoughts for us today?
I think that it can seem like there are a lot of meetups. There can be a lot of communities. And it might seem that there's never room for another meetup or another community. But I would encourage people watching this and thinking about gathering people around a specific topic or a philosophy or something that they just like to talk about, or people that they want to know with a similar personality or interest, that there's always room. You might have to be specific, and I think it's fantastic to be specific. And as a starting point, the more specific you are, I think the more you're going to find that community very tightly knit. And so I would encourage people to really think about what are the conversations that you want to have most often in a personal or professional context, and start small. Start having. It's never been easier, right, to have Zoom calls or Google Meet hangouts. And so it doesn't have to be a big daunting thing. It doesn't have to be 6,500 members. That happens when the basics work, right? It happens organically when people just want to come together. So whatever size, however it manifests itself, I think that there's always room for a new community. And it's very rewarding to be a part of, whether you're in an organizing capacity or someone who can just show up and have conversations with people that they can't have otherwise, right? It can be a very freeing thing to be able to bounce ideas off people or just absorb them from other people, right? And hear a new perspective that you haven't heard before, or be reminded of something that, sort of maybe drifted to the back of your mind over time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Steve, thanks for coming on.
Thanks very much for having me.
On behalf of Steve Piera, I am Tom Henriksen for the DevOps Online Summit.